All right, let's do this. Whoa, Justin.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, dude? What happened to the beard?
No, my name's not Justin. I'm Jason. I haven't met you yet. Justin is on vacation. He told me that you guys needed to do a podcast, so I'm just here to help.
What is this? Some Elias crap right here? I can do. It's Justin. I can tell. Like the beard, the glasses. No, this is Justin.
No, it's just I don't look anything like Justin's my cousin, but we're not even identical twins or anything like that. Look like he always wears a hat. I've got prescription glasses. He doesn't wear those. I look nothing like him.
Okay. No, dude. Justin, you can come out. Like I see you. I see you. I acknowledge you.
Look, I mean, Justin's a very attractive man. I appreciate you saying that. He texted me. He said, "Hey, I've had to cancel like a couple times. What's going on? I don't want to do it again. We need to do a podcast. Rob's out of town." I know Rob very well. You can verify with him. We've gone on, hangouts with Justin and the whole crew and stuff like that. I'm sorry. Look, Justin's a good guy. He's a good guy. But he, I'm sorry, I'm not him.
Okay, well, the show must go on. Beardless Justin or Jason, whatever his name is.
Jason.
Yeah, okay.
Jason.
Okay. So I hope you can talk some wrestling because that's what this podcast is about.
Yeah, I like wrestling.
Cool. All right, well, bam, right in the crown jewels. This whole week is big week in wrestling. Crown Jewel was yesterday. It was a pretty good show. And Jake Paul, Logan Paul, I can't tell them apart. Is it Jake or is it Logan? I don't know.
Well, there's two of them. They're brothers, much like me and Justin, cousins technically. But we were like brothers growing up. Does he not ever talk about me?
He's not mentioned you.
Okay.
So maybe you guys need to have a talk. I don't know.
When it comes back, it'll be fine. Yeah, Logan Paul took on Roman Reigns in the main event of Crown Jewel. Not plural. I want to say Crown Jewels. Is that just because we're perverted? Or like, what is it? Or like when I think like...
I don't know. I mean, it was a good show. Whatever happens with the
it was
Jewel.
Probably the best Crown Jewel show that they've had.
Yeah, I
think. And we'll get into all that, I'm sure. Let's start this thing off though. Let's talk about Crown Jewel later because there's a whole lot of stuff around Crown Jewel that I think is important to talk about. But I want to talk about, there's a lot of stuff that's happened since the last time that there's done a Better Than Broadway. So I want to talk about some of the other stuff that's going on. Okay. Did you get a chance to did you watch Dynamite this week?
I saw Dynamite. I thought Dynamite was a very different Dynamite and had some very interesting things happen. Did you notice the editor, quote unquote, whoever it is, basically going into the AEW film archives and we're just going to delete some people or cancel them out. Who knows?
So they've actually been doing that for, I think, 2 weeks now. And
I must have missed it the first time.
And I like that you called it the editor. Did you hear it called that? Or were you just thinking like the name? Cause it's actually a really cool name. That sounds like a Batman villain name or something. Yeah. You know what I mean?
When I saw it, I'm like, oh, that's Final Cut Pro. I use that. And I was like,
I recognize it too. Yeah.
You just drag and drop. It's so easy.
Which is funny because, so Dylan and Nathan, the guys that run Southern Honor, they do, as far as I know, they still are, at least Dylan is doing all the editing for the event. So I'm wondering, I was looking at that. I was like, is that Dylan's hand? I don't know. I don't know him that well to know what his hand looked like. But I wonder if that's actually him. If that's his
Moonlight
computer.
As a hand model.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd have to go back and watch that, and then I might text him or message him or something and ask him if that was him or whatever. It was very, very well done. I'm very interested in how they're going to play it out. It looks like they're going to come back and maybe try and get their trios titles back. It looks like they're bringing in. That's the obvious. It's like, hey, dumbass, it writes itself, right? It was taken away from them. They never lost them. They're going to come back. I hope that they can.
It could be them leaning into more of their EVP roles, asserting more business authority into the wrestling.
or trying to, because that was, honestly, the role with that was that, way back when Cody was still in, the EVPs lost their power. And that wasn't really a stunt. That was a, a real life thing that happened that wasn't really talked about online, but they had a lot more power of booking, and Tony kind of just took over everything. Some people think that was a good thing. Some people think it was a bad thing. I mean, I think that's something that's subjective, that's up for debate or whatever, but I like to name the editor. You heard it here first, guys. That's going to be, if they're leaving money on the table if they fucking don't create like some like Shockmaster fucking mask like Bray Wyatt guy called the editor.
That'd be cool.
You know what I mean?
No, totally like a Batman villain vibe.
Yeah, and then it just like his shirt just says like Error 404 or some bullshit. Like it's like,
it could be. You know what? It could be the Elite and the Matt Hardy coming back as Damascus as like deleted.
Yeah,
could be.
I mean, that's when I saw like delete the Elite. That's when I heard that, I'm like, okay, that makes sense too. But like that wouldn't really make sense in the canon of the shoot work, right? Because like, what does Matt Hardy have to do with any type of like production roles or anything like that? But just the whole thing interests me, and I think that as it plays out, they have an opportunity to really make something different and hopefully turn around like this super like dark cloud that's been over AEW and see some resolve out of it. That's my hope, obviously.
Yeah, Jason, you seem to know your stuff.
Yeah, I do. Is it Robert or what's your name? Ryan.
Yes.
With the two R's. It's confusing. I don't know why people, Robert and Ryan, you guys like, it's way too close. Anyways, did you see House of Black?
Dude, so it was really cool because they had that awesome video segment of like, oh no, they're dead. Which I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like they're back, right? Because like, well, I mean, why would you be doing a vignette for a company you don't work for anymore? But like, he's literally dead. They're like playing along with this, like, no, he's gone. We're putting him to rest. He's no longer here. But then it came out, and I don't know if, I think you saw, we may have talked about this before, but Malachi Black came and actually debunked all these comments and all these articles that were saying that he left and requested his release. Now, did he request his release? Did he not request his release? I think
he just wanted some time off.
That's what he's saying. But if you read the stuff before, it really sounded like, it felt like he was not happy in the company, not just not happy in general. And then Tony basically was saying, we're not releasing anybody. Like, I mean, he's like pulled the WWE. Like, it's like, you guys, you're not going anywhere.
Guys.
Yeah. So,
well, I think if House is Black is back, and I think the vignette was cool of like, oh no, like they rose from the dead. Like, that's really cool. That's some good overarching storytelling.
I wonder if they're just going to dive deeper into the character of actually burying and killing the House of Black and it evolving into something else. Something that I noticed was a lack of Brody King and a very, very strong presence of Julia Hart.
Yep.
Which she was kind of an afterthought. Like the way she got into the House of Black was very, very cool. But after that, she was an afterthought in the House of Black, in my opinion. They didn't really do much with her except for like a couple like heel swerves where she helped them but she didn't really have any storyline for herself. And I would really like to see them make her more prominent.
I'll tell you who's an afterthought. Varsity Blondes after she left. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I know. They had something pretty good, man. Look, Griff he's a big guy. He's deceivingly big. He doesn't look big on his own, but when you stand him next to some of these guys, like when he went up against, there was one match when they were going up against the Ass Boys where he stood up next to Billy Gunn, and I know how big Billy Gunn is
huge,
and he doesn't look small next to Billy Gunn. That fucking says something. And honestly, like Brian Pillman Jr., man, I dig him. Like, I think he's good. He's got charisma. He needs some more time. I really hope they repackage them into something maybe a little bit more like Attitude Era.
Yeah. I mean, it's AEW. They do a good job of like, you get the spotlight, and then when you need to grow, they'll kind of shift you back to dark and elevation, get you more, in-ring time. And then when you're, getting hot again, they'll bring you back on.
Do you think that's a good thing? Do you think dark and elevation or dark and dark elevation is a positive thing? Do you think it's too much? Because here's what I'm seeing dark and dark elevation as. It's just squash matches, right? Like there's no storylines. there's no storylines, and it doesn't make you want to watch. Like, I don't watch. Every now and then, like, if I hear of something that happened, like there was a really hard hitting match between two girls, Ember Moon, I'm sorry, Athena. Is that right? Is that what she is?
Yeah,
in
that she's Athena now.
Yeah. And with this other little hometown girl that was, I can't remember her name, but she was a great match. So like, I apologize. I'm sure anybody in the comments or listening to this, you can look it up and tell us, what her name was. But so I watched that, and then I've seen some of the stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't know if they're doing that on purpose because they don't want to pull away from the storyline writing that they have there. But I feel like they should have at least one storyline running through these YouTube channels.
I mean, you're right. Like, when they're like, oh, tonight here's the card for Elevation, or here's a card for Dark, and I can literally look through the whole card and be like, pick out who's going to win.
You don't have to watch it. You don't have to watch it, and that's the thing. And like when you're trying to make content, I like that they're doing it to put a spotlight on people that are like, it's like a performance center thing. It's like what they kind of wanted NXT to be, but then NXT got so damn good that it's like, why can't you just let them create their own storylines? Look, if there's not a lot of eyes on it, let these people do something. And if they fuck up, like, look, it's a YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Like, it's not,
I think that's
not on television.
But also think about the business element of like, look, we've rented this arena for Dynamite or Rampage. We got to, use it for more than an hour. And then with these guys, getting some time in, and then for like, why don't we just tape it?
But they've got they're doing it at they're doing it at Universal now, aren't they?
Oh, are they?
Isn't that where they're taping it? Yeah, like WCW used to do. I think they're taping it in it. It's like in an NXT arena type thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it looked like they were, or maybe they're back in Jacksonville.
Well, there's two of them. Right? So like is it dark and Dark Elevation? So I think one of them's in like a old NWA like power studio. And then maybe one is like dark matches that they actually do before the show. So I think that's two different things. Yeah. Like, but see, that's like right there. It's like I know about it, but I don't really know about it. Like every single time I've watched it, I'm kind of like, I'm just going to play on my phone because there's nothing that pulls me in.
I usually, like when I'm like jamming on D&D and nothing else is coming on, I'll just like throw it on, kind of have in the background.
Exactly. I've got in my workshop, I'll have it playing in the background while I'm trying to fix something or something like that,
Okay.
But I mean, yeah.
I'll say let's move on, and let's Dark and Elevation. Like, we understand your points, but I wish it wasn't so predictable.
I wish it wasn't so predictable. But like I said, I'm wondering if maybe they're doing that on purpose because they don't want to pull attention from their other shows. I don't know. I'm sure. I feel like there's probably a reason. But anyways, talent. They've got a lot of talent on there, right?
Speaking of talent, who's back?
There you go. There's that freaking. I was gonna do that segue, but you did that segue.
Go ahead, dude.
Man, we're pretty good here. Colt Cabana.
It's almost like we've been doing this a couple times, right, Justin?
Jason. Yeah, well, I watch all your shows, so I've got a very good feel for how you talk. So you guys are good.
Okay.
So it's an honor to be on here. Yeah, boom, boom, Colt Cabana. Boom, 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 Colt Cabana. He's back. I'm freaking excited. I love Colt Cabana. Even though he made a smart ass comment to me one time on a message. I don't want to say smart ass. This is funny. I got to tell you this story. So, long time ago, just like my cousin Justin, I used to do bodybuilding and physique shows and stuff. And I saw Colt Cabana at a WrestleMania gig that they had. I don't know if it was progression. Anyways, whatever. And he was outside the hotel that they were holding at, and he was selling shirts, and I bought a shirt from him. Super cool guy. And then I was squatting one day and I had a shirt on. I was like, hey, take a video of me. And I was just like walking. I was like, boom, 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 Colt Cabana. And I go and I squat. Right. And then he actually commented on the post, and he goes, nice. But he's like, I don't get it. Is the joke that I don't do legs? I'm like, no, I was just trying to promote your shirt. Like, I wasn't talking shit. Like, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't do legs. I don't know. But I felt bad. I'm like, shit. Cause there's another, Evan, who's on our little wrestling group that you're on. he's got a story where I think Colt Cabana blocked him. So I was like, oh, don't block me. I promise. I'm a fan. I'm not talking shit. But yeah, man, all this stuff with him and the strife between him and CM Punk, it was just very convenient that he just wasn't there. Right. Now, the question is, did Punk say, like, if Colt Cabana's here, I'm not coming back? I don't know. But it is very convenient. Didn't he say that about
Hangman, too?
Well, no, his beef with Hangman wasn't until after he started the company. That was just, he thought all that kind of stuff. But he's been a bitter enemy of Colt Cabana for years because they were best friends for the longest time. And I don't know all the ins and outs. Like, my brother could tell you more about it than I could. My other brother, Garrett, not Justin. And,
don't confuse the brothers.
I know it's, we're like, I don't look anything like them. They're very similar. Anyways, I think that it was probably more along the lines of Tony Khan, since he bought Ring of Honor, trying to strategically place Colt Cabana away from CM Punk to stop any drama. But it just seems as though drama follows CM Punk wherever he goes.
Well, if the common theme is
the common denominator,
is drama. Seems like you're the source of it, dude.
Yeah. What is it? It's like if you date 10 people that all have the same problem, maybe you're the problem.
Exactly.
So that's kind of what it feels like. That's kind of what it feels like. He's got a problem with the Bucks. He's got a problem with Kenny. He's got a problem with,
Hangman.
With Hangman. He's got a problem with Cabana. He had a problem with Triple. He had a problem with, McMahon. Now, are a lot of those problems probably valid? Like, yeah, sure. Like, absolutely. We know that, in the, between the 90s and the mid 2000s, there was no wellness program in WWE, and it was a joke, and like they were letting people do shit that they shouldn't have done. Like, we know that. So I'm not saying that he's just full of shit, but man, whatever personal shit that they have with Colt Cabana, there was no reason for him to air it on the what is it they call it? The fallout or the brawl out after the fallout on the all out. Yeah. The
presser
fallout
after.
of the all out. Yeah. Fallout after all out. So anyways, but I'm super excited to have Colt Cabana back. However, it looks like he's not going to be a staple back in AEW. It looks like they brought him back for that, and he's going to be more Ring of Honor. But I'm okay with that as long as Ring of Honor gets this TV deal that they're talking about. So I don't know when, I don't know where, I don't know to what extent, but they've been talking about it for a while. And Tony Khan is openly and actively speaking about it and how he's hopeful and excited for it. So that's a good sign. If they can get on TV, man, like me personally, I would just like to see Rampage go away and then put Ring of Honor as a separate thing and then put all of their freaking effort into Ring of Honor, because Rampage for the last, 6 months at least has felt like an afterthought.
I agree with you. I usually watch Rampage after like D&D, and like it's like I don't really need to watch it.
They've been the last
like, why was Mike Tyson
3 weeks.
Like, why was Mike Tyson?
Because they're trying to give a reason. You know what I mean? They're trying. I think they're trying. I think they're hearing the fans talk, and they're seeing the numbers that are down, and they know that it's just most times it's just filmed after that. So anybody that goes to the Dynamite tapings or the Dynamite shows, they're exhausted. So the crowd's tired. But I love that they're bringing JR for Rampage. I feel like JR's energy is good for an hour, right? Because JR is, I'm not going to be critical of JR, but look, like at his age and where he's at, like you can't expect the man to be on top of his game for 3 hours.
Yeah, no,
or for 2 hours.
I can't be on my game for 3 hours. Like,
it's hard enough for me to freaking drink enough espresso just to talk to you guys for and this is my first time doing it. So yeah, I think that having him on there is a good move. I think that them pushing more of the, some big matches on there is a good move. Look, I want to watch Rampage. I like the idea of an hour-long show because to me it's digestible, right? Like pack all kinds of shit in there and just make it the best fucking hour that you can possibly make wrestling. And I'll be more excited to watch that than Dynamite or Raw just because it's 60 minutes. it doesn't
Yeah.
really affect your day that much, right?
Well, it's like you said, digestible. You have an hour to kill. Usually that's like, nothing, like, what am I going to do? But if I have, like, I can record it, watch it, speak through the commercials. Perfect.
Yeah. But if, like I said, if it just feels like basically a dark elevation, then it's to the point now to where, like, you guys is like, we'll watch it if something happens after the fact.
Right.
But I can't remember the last time I watched Rampage on a Friday live. I can't remember the last time I did it.
Yeah.
I record all of them, and if something happens, I'll watch it. I'll see it on on Instagram or something like that, and I'll watch
comes
it.
Up in the internet. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, anyways, who else is back in AEW in the limelight of pro wrestling?
Speaking of other shows, other than AEW or WWE, there are other shows out there. One of them is Impact Wrestling, which used to be TNA, which there was a certain JEFFJARRETT that used to be. Did I do that right? Did I spell that right?
I think so.
Like I probably should have written it out first. That used to run that place, also used to work at WWE, and now Jeff Jarrett of the Jeffs is all over. He came in just swinging too, right? Literally
took out Darby Allin.
Fucking guitar. And here's what so I play music. Do you play music?
I do not.
Okay. So
I enjoy music.
I don't know why they always put dust in the guitars. Whenever you see somebody hit a guitar,
right,
it flies out like they just made the guitar and they didn't clean the fucking sawdust out from underneath it. Like, that's just for effect? Like, anybody, it's like, why is there a fog machine inside this fucking Taylor right now? I don't understand.
Maybe, they're trying, you know what, Justin, this is what it is. They are trying to
Jason.
Okay. Maybe they're trying to get in on the gender reveal parties of guitar head smash.
So they put some pink sawdust in there. You know what? If I ever get pregnant again, that's how I'm doing my fucking gender reveal party. I'm gonna have you over here, and I'm going to, because I don't think it would go over well if I hit my girlfriend with it. Right.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's weird. I can't figure it out. I can't figure out why they do it.
It's you gotta have an explosion of some sort, and I think it's what makes wrestling. Like,
I think wood falling apart and exploding and the smack, I think that's enough. I don't know. It's weird to me because now granted, I've never busted an acoustic guitar open over somebody's head before, but I'm 99.6453% sure that it's not going to look like you're blowing stardust at somebody.
Dude, maybe you should just try it one time. Or maybe you should do it to your brother.
I'll buy a cheap guitar.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's why there's so much dust. They are cheap guitars.
Maybe
everyone with it.
Maybe they're just really old. Like, maybe that was a joke about Jarrett hasn't done that shit in so long. His guitars are dusty. I don't know.
Oh, it could be.
But here's the deal. Like,
millions on guitars.
Was I the biggest Double J fan? No, not really. As a wrestler, I think he probably deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe. But as a backstage and a producer and as a mind for the business and events, I think he's definitely up there. And I think he's a great get for AEW because this is the role that he's in now of, I think, a director of live events, I think is what it is, or producer of live events or something like that.
Producer.
A couple things are happening there. One, Tony is wanting to expand and do these live events, which that's a whole nother conversation. We can talk about that in a second. Like the dark shows, basically house shows. And he's admitting like, hey, I can't take on anymore. I need some help, which is good.
He's a
because
delegate,
right
man.
now he's over the fucking Jaguars. He's over the, what is it? What's the football team that he owns? It starts with an F.
Oh, I don't know.
Not Folsom, not whatever. I'm not a huge soccer fan, obviously, as you can tell. And I mean, he's over AEW. He's got Dynamite. He's got, Rampage. He's got Ring of Honor. Like, Jesus Lord. Like, when do you sleep? Yeah, exactly. Like, no wonder he's always on edge. I couldn't handle it. I think most people probably couldn't handle it, especially not at that level doing all those live shows. So I think him hiring somebody that has, a little bit of, not a little bit, a lot. He's created, some of the biggest wrestling events, been a part of it, that we've ever seen, like Impact, TNA. They were before AEW, they were the closest thing to ever get to WWE. And then before he got released with WWE, this is what he was doing with WWE. And I think he got released because of the whole, not because he wasn't doing a good job. Right. So I'm excited.
You just got to clean house sometimes.
Yeah. But what do you think about these live events? What do you think about these house shows that AEW doing? Do you think in this climate that it's smart to start doing this when we're not even really seeing great gates at some of the Dynamites and stuff?
I think it could be. I mean, wrestlers, you got to have experience, and you got to have experience. Like, how are you going to get better if you're not getting experience? So, sure, go ahead, but I think it needs to be much more contained. Not an epic stadium, but kind of like how they're doing. Use the Jaguar stuff or the Jaguars facility. But I mean, house shows are house shows. How are you gonna grow your audience if you're not doing that?
Yeah, I think so. I'm concerned that. If they do it, it's definitely going to be in a smaller event. I like the idea of having a more intimate event, but it needs to be a very, very small arena. Like, I remember some of my favorite memories of wrestling is going to these Ring of Honor shows when they were at like the little small venues where there's like 300-400 people, and the wrestlers can literally talk to the crowd because it's so quiet, not because the crowd isn't hot, but because there's only 250 of them there. And, you've got some drunk lady in the back saying, kick him in his dick, that actually
wrestlers
happened.
Stealing beers and like drinking them like,
yeah.
I'm really hot. Give me this.
Put your finger in his butt. Like, drunk women at wrestling shows are the most vulgar people. They're like all sailors. But I like the idea of doing that. If it's not televised.
Essentially you could make those your dark and elevation.
And that's the thing. Like, I feel like that should be it. But if they do the dark elevation, they're going to film that. Because like, that's a whole nother thing. Like, it's really ironic. The whole idea of a dark match is the one that's not televised. But and then they got all the cameras on. It's not really dark, is it?
Oh, all the camera crew are there. You're paying them for the day.
My girlfriend just brought me some coffee.
Ooh.
You haven't met her, Elena. She's sisters of Shayna.
Oh, this is okay. This is getting more interesting by the minute.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah, I don't know. I think that dark is, if they do that and they tape it and it's at these small arenas, I don't know that it's going to look good for the company, just because of the amount of people that I think are going to show up. Look, WWE's already scaled back their live events. You know what I mean? And they're the biggest game in town. So
time will tell. We will find out. My only worry is like, Tony Khan is getting a lot of the old lines back, and it's like, well, are we just recreating Impact and TNA? Or it
does feel a little bit like that when Jared came. It was almost like, and at first I was a little bit hesitant, but I was like, you know what? It's not quite the same, because hey, Double J did come from WWE, so it's not like he's just like, now if we tune in Wednesday and Eric Bischoff is the new, then all right, I'm like, okay, and then they got Kevin Nash to come in or something like that, then that's a different story. But I think Double J is in his role. I'm interested to see, is he going to have an on-screen role more often, or is he going to be a little bit more ambiguous, or not ambiguous, but just not as visible?
I don't know. It seemed like he was calling people out, man. He took out Darby and with his gender reveal guitar. His gender reveal guitar.
We need a shirt that just says gender reveal guitar, or like Double J's gender reveal. But look, like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of Jeff Jarrett. But in the back and for these live events, I think he is a gem. And speaking of gyms, next up, we go from the smallest arenas that we're talking about to the biggest arena in Crown Gym. Jewels. Jewels. Bam, right in the jewels.
All I gotta say is that I saw at Crown Jewel, they had like the 4 pillars. And I'm like, is that one seat at the Boston?
Wait,
Red
are we
Sox
talking
Stadium?
about CM Punk and Jungle Boy and Britt Baker and You said the four pillars.
The four pillars of the stadium.
Oh, okay, yeah.
At Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
That like these giant four pillars that are advertising. And it's like, well, it would suck to get sitting right behind one of those things. Like that one seat at Fenway Park.
It would, and how much would it suck if there was a bomb underneath there?
Yeah, what's up with that, dude?
We didn't talk about, well, so November 1st, the Wall Street Journal reported, I'm just going to read this out here because this is actually a really big deal, and I want to talk about this. So the Wall Street Journal reported that Saudi Arabia may be subject to a targeted attack by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps amid the Masa Amini protests simultaneously taking place as Crown Jewel. The article stated that the attacks were planned for targets in the kingdom. So it did not specifically say that it was going to attack Crown Jewel or that it had any issues with WWE. But here's the thing. If you're going to attack an event specifically in the kingdom, what bigger event than to literally go to, what was there, 100,000, 80,000 people there? Like it was literally. I mean,
it was a full,
it was WrestleMania size. Yeah, it's a full. Was it open? I can't remember if it was open.
It was open.
A closed stadium. Okay.
No, it was open.
So I mean, that's a huge place. So there was a huge fear of that, and WWE. A lot of people thought it was going to pull out, and actually, I've got stock, and I know Robert has stock as well. They plummeted.
Because you're Justin.
Well, Justin is the one that got me into day trading and stocks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, definitely. But I love WWE stock. They've been going up. They've been what's called a bullish. If you're into stocks, they've been a bullish stock for a while. And it's especially since Vince McMahon retired, which you thought would probably bring it down, but just because of Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon taking over the, financial side of things, and then Triple H taking over the commercial side, not commercial, but the creative side of things, they've really, really done well. But this was the first time when that was announced that it dropped. It dropped from, I think, $80 a share. It was up over $80 a share down to 73, I think was a low, which is $7 in a day. That's a big deal.
That's a big shift. Yeah.
So people were worried about that. And they were worried about it because they weren't saying they weren't going to go, right? Because here's the thing. It's like, okay, they bomb it, they have it. Like you're fucked either way, because if they don't go, they have this literally $1 billion deal with Saudi Arabia, right? Or the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, I guess is what he's called. So that's going to mess that up, right? Which is not good for shareholders. But if they do go and it gets blown up and they lose all of their top stars,
right?
That's not really good for business either. So they were kind of screwed either way. But they tried to pat it as much as they can and say, we're on high alert and we're going to play this and that, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, we know how in hindsight being 2020 now, they are, nothing happened. It went off without a hitch. And I know we're going to talk about Crown Jewel here, and the stock already in the after hours has gone up some. So I think it's going to be
good. I'm glad everything ended up being safe. If we can just chill out in this world for a little bit, that'd be great. But
it's like the second degree or the second law of thermodynamics.
Yeah.
Things in chaos move towards chaos. And that's what it feels like in wrestling and everything else. Speaking of chaos, it's like something really, really crazy. Since we're on WWE is, I heard a story about Steve Austin potentially wrestling again.
What?
Yeah.
Man is, but why? What does he have left to prove?
He doesn't have anything left to prove, but you got to understand that, he went out at the top of the game. He wasn't like a Shawn Michaels or a Ric Flair who's had 37 different fucking last matches.
Retirement matches, yeah.
Or even The Undertaker. He came back last year at WrestleMania and put on a fucking banger. I think everybody that watched that match last year were like, oh, wow, he can still do it. This feels like a Stone Cold Austin. Was the pace a little bit slower? Yeah. But it's still, he took a huge bump to the concrete. And I think after that, he was, basically maybe not. And I don't want to see him come back in some big role, but maybe a WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and one more good program, I think would be fine.
And he retired due to, the kind of lingering neck and back issues, correct?
He didn't retire because he had, to like an Edge or like a Daniel Bryan or something like that. But he retired because he knew that he couldn't keep it up, and if he did, he would end up paralyzed. So it was a little bit less
precautionary.
Yeah, it was more precautionary than like an emergency thing to where he just can't go anymore. He had that last match. He knew it was going to be his last match. No one else knew it was going to be his last match with The Rock, I believe it was, at WrestleMania. But I mean, I love Stone Cold like everybody else. I mean, it's fucking Stone Cold. So I mean,
he was my hero in the 90s.
To see him more, I don't want him to hurt himself, but I think his style lends it to where he can be pretty good, right? Like that brawling style. He doesn't have to take a lot of bumps. I would be up for seeing one more, program with somebody, if it's done right, and if it's not, like I said, he's on Raw every Monday and he's doing matches on SmackDown and stuff like that. But yeah, I think one or two specials.
I'd welcome it.
Yeah.
As long as he's taken care of, and but it's like, it's kind of the same thing. Like whenever Sting's out in the mat, like everyone's like, all right, just make sure Sting's not going to get hurt.
It is, but Sting does some crazy shit at his age. Like,
he does. I
mean, he's taking bumps he doesn't need to fucking take, but you can just tell he's like Stone Cold in the sense of like, he just loves wrestling, man. It's been his whole life. Like, and I think he can't stay away. And, I hope he doesn't end up like Ric Flair, but like, let's be honest, like to be somebody that at his age, like he's still throwing down. Like, I mean, he's still throwing, like he's you can't tell he's like 60 years old. Let's just say that. I mean, the guy's.
I will say this: the only time you can ever tell Sting is over 60 is when, for some reason, they forget to dye his hair, and you can see his gray roots coming out.
It almost looks green sometimes, doesn't it? It's like
you put the face paint on.
The just for men, like, yeah, like just get it hard, like, because make it black. It's not brown. It's like this green. It's like, does he have blonde hair naturally? Like, I can't remember. Maybe. I mean, he had blonde hair his whole career, but it was
in the 80s.
Blonde. Yeah, but I don't know.
But yeah, whoever's doing makeup for Sting, like, you're doing the face paint, just kind of keep going up there. Make sure he always looks good. Come on.
Yeah.
But thankfully, Stone Cold doesn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, exactly. It works out. He just gets the little, he's got the salt and pepper goatee and he's fine. But I love Stone Cold. I love Sting. I love that Sting's there. And like I said, if the man can work at the rate that he's working at, and the only time I ever notice it is when he's walking out the ring. He's got that saddle walk to him from all the bumps,
Yep.
And but like I said, he's doing it. He loves to do it. I don't think he needs it for the money, so that would be the only thing that would impress me about it. But I love talking about when you think of Sting, you think of Tony Schiavone, like it's Sting. But another announcer that's been in like this just revival ever since McMahon hasn't been in his ears has been Michael Cole. And did you hear what he said?
He said the Bullet Club, which is like,
he said Bullet Club, which
that
is
makes
like,
you perk up. You're like, what?
Yeah, it's like Forbidden Door, right? Like, that's pretty freaking crazy. So, but he's been on a roll, so it was good to hear that.
I think it's when you acknowledge other promotions, rising tide raises all boats. Competition inspires the best out of people, and the more you acknowledge it, the more people respect it, and it's going to cause you to up your game. So,
yeah, I agree. I just, like I said, we talked about this before on the podcast, or you guys have rather. I think that Michael Cole is one of my favorite. Michael Cole was like, me personally, like my most hated. I was just like, God, this guy is just like, it's like when you eat chicken and rice every single meal for every single day for 12 years, you're just sick of it. And there's no spice, there's no nothing. But then it's literally 180.
Came back. Yeah.
180 as soon as he had Vince McMahon out of his ear. And now he's one of my favorite announcers, and he's definitely like a reason why I would want to tune into SmackDown. I think he is now permanently, right?
Yes, I think he's on SmackDown now.
Yeah.
Well, right on. Well, good for Michael Cole, and good for opening the door, because let's people know that people have lives outside of WWE and things like that.
Speaking of opening the door and having more freedom, let's talk about women wrestling in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. So I remember when, Saudi Arabia was like, they're very pretty harsh with women, and women's roles. And of course, I think it was Natalia and somebody else when they wrestled in Saudi Arabia, they had to be almost hijab, but they were like, covered shirts and everything. And, now we have female referees, with kind of a bodysuit on. And then, yesterday, we had women's tag team and, the women's world championship. And it was nice because it wasn't, they still had a lot of their own flair in their outfits. Bianca Belair and Bayley.
Good God, those colors though, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, dude. It was just like neon vomit. They did not match. Somebody needed to color coordinate them or something like that. Cause I think it's good that the women are wrestling there. I think a lot of the women probably don't want to go there just because of the country and how the women don't have the freedom and the rights that everybody else that's in this country is used to, right? It's very foreign to them. Obviously, if you're in that country, that's what you're used to and it's foreign. And I don't want to disrespect that country's culture. I think it's great that they don't have to wear heads like masks or whatever and burkas and all that. In just a couple of years, they couldn't even wrestle. So I know that they're moving forward. So in that way, WWE is kind of pioneers for women's.
They are pushing
freedom.
The envelope, man.
Yeah. So I think that's great. I got a question for you though. Do you think that the guys sitting in the arena were getting a chubby to Rhea Ripley's leather outfit? Because you want to talk about, they're saying I imagine the conversation that they're having with Rhea Ripley. She's like, I want to wear revealing sexy clothing. Okay, but you can't, I'm not going to do a fake accent. But you can't, you have to be fully covered, because we don't want anybody to think sexy, this and that or whatever. You have to be completely covered. And she goes, okay, say no more. I got you.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Full freaking BDSM bodysuit. Literally, it looks like some shit from American Horror Story or something like that.
She's like, hey, I'm following the rules.
Follow the rules is loophole.
Who knows, man? But it's you gotta life and change and evolution is about baby steps. And if we can push the envelope with one baby step, 2 baby steps, 3 baby steps, WWE is in an interesting position of pushing a country to be a bit more progressive.
It is. You sound like Bill Murray and What About Bob though? Baby steps to the elevator. Baby steps to the stairs.
Baby steps. Baby steps. No, I'm all about baby steps, and I think that's how the world changes.
So you're talking about the women's matches and stuff. Let's talk about the matches in general. Did you have a match that you saw that stood out to you? Because I watched the highlights. I saw the main event live, almost all the main event live. But I only watched the highlights of the other matches. So if you got a chance to watch more,
honestly,
but I want to hear what your opinion was.
It was the Bayley and Bianca Belair match. Was great.
Really?
They went at each other hard. They went all over the arena. It was a
they got out of the ring.
They got out of the ring. It was a last man standing match.
Wow.
That returned to the ring, but they brought a golf cart and was driving around with Bayley on top.
I got to go back and watch that.
Watch that match. The only thing I was hoping that Bayley was on top, being pulled, and they were all very safe. It was okay for the ref, you good, and they're going, and Bianca's tearing down the ramp in the golf cart, and then jumps up on the golf cart, suplexes Bayley, misses the spot on the table, and I feel like that's a female Saudi Arabian version of Brock Lesnar coming in a tractor. Totally.
They're like, how can we do this but make it different? But honestly, AEW already did that with Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara.
Dude, that's exactly what I thought. This is very tame because we've already seen them push the envelope.
We've already seen Sammy Guevara get ran the fuck over by Matt Hardy.
Was it, or hang on, is it a case of, clearly that was a gas powered golf cart with more torque and speed versus the electric battery powered golf cart, which can't go that fast. I don't know.
You couldn't with all everything else going on, I couldn't tell if the engine was running or not or whatever. But, okay, so that's interesting. The other match that I heard, that was probably the match of the night, and you tell me what you thought about it, was the tag match with the Usos. Did you get a chance to watch that?
I honestly, I started to watch it, and then my internet was acting weird, and it was in and out.
Okay.
And I only saw them walking out to the ring with the belts, so I missed it.
I gotcha. So I do know that it was a couple close finishes, and it made the Brawling Brutes look really good. I saw that, and then obviously the Usos won. But yeah, I saw somebody, a couple people say that was probably the match of the night, but I had to go back and watch it. But honestly, any match with a golf cart in it's going to win me over, just because I love ridiculous gimmick shit like that, like Stone Cold bringing the freaking beer truck out, or Kurt bringing the milk truck out, or whatever. You know, I think it's great.
Or when Brock lifted the arena with the tractor, like that was cool.
That was a moment, man. That was something that I'm like, okay, you got me. I didn't see that one coming. I didn't have that on my bingo sheet. Like Brock lifting the tractor. Like, oh no, I don't get B9. I didn't have that one. Yeah, that's funny, man. So the matches that I did see, I will say that I watched the main event, and again, I'm not going to say that it is or isn't the match of the night because I need to go back and watch the rest of it. But I will say that Logan Paul, or I should say, got to give love to Shawn Michaels because he has trained Logan Paul to be, I'm not going to say he's a good wrestler, but he's a superstar, man.
He's a performer. He's a performer. He's gonna take it seriously. Although I think I read today that he suffered a ACL and MCL tear from that match.
Could be. He's young enough and he doesn't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
That like, and he doesn't. So it's not like, oh no, my career's over in wrestling. Let me just,
he'll be like, come back to my podcast.
Yeah, let me go sit on my bed of $100 bills that I have. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I mean, they've made so much money. He's at this point, like he's like, what's it called? Like they say about Shaq. He's like, he's already completed the game. He's just going back and doing side quests now.
I mean, yeah, and why not? Like he's got the money. He's clearly got physical talent. But it's like I don't want to give Jake Paul too much attention because the man doesn't need it. He's done like he's doing the side quest now. But I do want to point out, and that I think is hysterical.
Tell me that. I've got a question for you after that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Was during the Roman Reigns, Logan, Jake Paul match. I don't know. It was like, oh man, so people are coming out to help. And Jake Paul or Logan Paul, his brother, comes out to help, punch, he's got that, he's the boxer, punches Roman Reigns. And then every time the help happens in like a dire situation, the music cuts and the person just walks down the entranceway. Like
I know everybody wanted their entrance for that match. Like everybody had to have an entrance. They wouldn't just run down. There's no urgency.
Right. Don't worry, I'm coming. Don't worry. I gotta milk this.
The best one of that is when not Matt Hardy, his brother Jeff Hardy came back to save them for the first time in AEW, and he stopped to do his little like thing and like, bro, your brother is literally dying in the ring, and you got to do your little like dance jig thing. That was the most ridiculous shit. Yeah,
I know.
No, I noticed the same thing. I noticed the same. So, and I know you get them confused. It's so funny. Like I don't know if you're doing that on purpose, but it's hilarious. Yeah. So Logan Paul,
I literally have no idea who it is.
Logan Paul is the older brother that is actually wrestling in WWE. Jake Paul is the one that just
boxer?
beat Anderson Silva.
Okay.
And I want to talk to you about that because your martial arts background. Mm-hmm. Do you see that as a legitimate win? There's a lot of people that are saying that it was rigged. I watched it back and I think that it's real. I just think the punch that everybody thought hit him isn't the actual punch that hurt Anderson Silva. He was falling back. The left hand before is what hit him. And he didn't really connect with the right, but the way and the timing of when he hit it, that's what made it look like he was going down, when in reality it was the punch before that rocked him.
I think because I know the punch you're talking about, and speaking with martial arts, like a lot when I teach kickboxing, a lot of people like hit a bag, and they're like, "Yeah, I kicked the bag over," and they're like looking around, like, "Oh, who saw that? What whatever." And it's like, dude, when you get too close to the bag and you kick, and you knock the bag over, you're pushing the bag over. You're not hitting it.
Exactly. Yeah,
and
that's what I'm saying. He knocked him down. He didn't knock him out.
Right. He pushed him down. Anderson was already a little wobbly, and yeah, he was wobbly. He got rocked. But then he got pushed to the ground. That's why he got up so fast.
Yeah. But he did look rocked though. He looked rocked when he was up there. I don't know if it was just his ego was hurt or if he was like actually dizzy. But I mean, here's the next question is he's obviously doing this. He's trying to make money. I don't know how much money actually Jake made in this fight. I know that over the last like year or so, he's made like $30 or $40 million off of boxing. So it's obviously a lucrative business for him.
Well, I think, but is it fixed? Probably not. But are all the stones stacked in his corner? Absolutely. The guy's mid-20s fighting a 48-year-old man.
And that's my question. It's like we know that it drops off. Anderson Silva is arguably one of the best mixed martial artists of all
100%.
Time, right?
Top,
I mean, he's definitely in that list. But, everybody, I mean, how much does age slow you down? And it slows everybody down past a certain extent. And we saw Anderson Silva, just like most of these guys towards the end of the career, that maybe stay in a little bit too long, they start to fall, they start to lose, and like, he doesn't have the speed. So that's my question is like, is this like, okay, yes, on paper he beat Anderson Silva, but it's like saying like I dated, what is it? I don't know. I dated Marilyn well, that's not a good idea. Like I dated Cindy Crawford. Okay, do you date her in her 20s or have you dated her now that she's 60? Because it's a little bit different, right?
Right.
That sounded sexist. Bad analogy. Rewind that. I didn't say that. Forget it. Sorry about that. Cancel
You are
culture.
forgiven.
You know what I mean, right? Like they're not in their prime. So how much glimmer and luster does that take off of the win for you?
I mean, it takes a lot off the win because also I heard this rumor. I don't know if this is true or not. I would love for somebody to confirm or deny it. Is that when Jake Paul, whatever, when Mr. Paul fought Tyron Woodley the first time, maybe this is true, maybe it's not. I remember hearing that Tyron in his contract, it said you cannot knock him out. To a knockout fighter.
I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that, but that doesn't sound right. I'd have to look that up. Actually, so I'm gonna Jamie, pull that up. Will you pull that up, Jamie?
So, I mean, him calling out, Nate Diaz, like, okay, that could be interesting. I think Nick Diaz will rock you.
Nate Diaz is not going to sign a contract that says he can't knock him out. I know that.
Right. But, you have Logan, Mr. Paul, being, in his prime of his life, fighting Anderson Silva, who is past his prime, still very good. And probably Logan Paul or Mr. Paul has, 40 pounds of muscle.
Jake Paul. And my name's Jason.
So, I mean, it's the stones are stacked in, Jake Paul's corner, and yeah, it takes a lot off the win.
First
fight
professional
Canelo.
Boxer.
Let's see how that goes.
Tommy Fury, blah, blah, blah. Then Paul selected former UFC who Paul beat in a split decision in August to replace Fury, ordered a $500,000 knockout bonus added to the contract to refute claims that Paul insists opponents adhere to no knockout clause. So he's saying he added a knockout bonus of $500,000. A 20-page bout agreement Woodley signed for his first fight against Paul, which detailed only minimal restrictions. Those included the avoidance of Grant boxing gloves, the standard language such as spelling out Woodley's role as the B-side fighter to be introduced first at the weigh-in bout. It's saying that there was rumors of it. Here we go. A Bellator MMA fighter, Dylan Dennis, first floated the no knockout allegations against Paul. So I guess that it's still out. There's some allegations about it, but I'm not seeing anything that's like, but I mean, that would be a big ass deal if that was the case. Answer this one question. Do you or do you not have a no knockout clause in your boxing contracts? You are the biggest con artist boxer has ever had. Exposed. You are a con artist. This is Clarissa Guot Shields that hit to him, and I'm trying to find his reply. But that's interesting. I didn't know about that. I'd be curious to look at the contract if they have. Can you even look at the contract? That's the thing, because they're not even really announcing what the gate was for these things, let alone what the contracts are.
Hey, so, I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. It'd be interesting. But
here's
then
the thing is that
side,
Anderson Silva is one of the greatest MMA fighters. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go.
Oh, you're delayed a little bit. I think is what it is. That's why we're talking over each other. Or I'm delayed. One of us is delayed. No, Anderson Silva is one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time. But just like, Conor McGregor fighting Floyd Mayweather, you take Conor McGregor's feet or legs away from him, and that hinders him, and he has to think about that because naturally he wants to throw his legs. He wants to do all these other things. Anderson Silva wants to do those things. You take them away from him. I'm sure he's still a great boxer, but it's just you're trying to teach an old dog new tricks at this point. And I don't know if that is hindering these guys to the point. Because, honestly, I feel like, okay, Jake beat Tyron Woodley. He beat Silva. But if you put him in an MMA ring, would it be the same thing?
Kick their legs, take them down. Change the game.
Exactly, because Jake's been training boxing. I know he's been training boxing, but I don't think he can use his legs in the clinch like, like somebody who's trained with that is. I think once you give them, if you take away a warrior's weapons, obviously they're going to have a disadvantage. I think that's more of the story behind these MMA fighters as opposed to anything. Cause like, all right, you think you're one of the best boxers in the world? Like, okay, Logan Paul, let's go against Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
Right. You're like 6'5". So like, why not? Let's do it. Like, go up and wait, drop it up. Let's see what happens then. Cause I don't think it's gonna be the same result.
Dude, I can tell you, like, whenever we're sparring and fighting, like, oh, it's a hands only round. Well, it changes a lot of people because who love their kicks, or it's kicks only. Like, well, I don't want to drop my hands. It's taking like you said, taking the weapons away from a warrior changes the game. And Anderson Silva, I watched a lot of his fights. Like, he was so versatile. His boxing hands knockouts weren't that prevalent. But his Muay Thai, leg kicks, knees, submissions killed a lot of people. So
it was kind of like John Jones. You didn't really know what he was so versatile. Like you said, you didn't know, was he going to punch you? Was he going to hit you? I mean, he could submit you. Like, he had this very, very wide range, and you didn't know, was it going to happen in the first round? Was it going to happen in the fifth round? Like, he was always dangerous. And his cockiness was there. And, so I don't know. We can go back to wrestling. I was just curious of what you thought about that. It is kind of relevant because Jake Paul was out there and he did knock out the Usos with like one punch. I thought it was a great match. I thought it was a little bit of it was definitely like leading up to it when they got those near falls and all that other kind of stuff. It was definitely like one of those like, oh my God, are they? They're not going to. They're
going to give him the title,
but are they going to win? Like, because like. I mean, they could. Like, he's one of the biggest stars in the world, and you want to talk about something that gets people talking? Jake Paul beats Roman Reigns and ends the streak? Jesus Lord. Now, I'm not Jake Paul. Logan Paul. Now I'm doing it. You're messing me up. Logan Paul is now the world champion, is a universal champion. Like, that would be the biggest piss off to everybody
now, would that be
in the industry. People will be talking about that for years.
Would that be one belt or both belts? Because there's the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and then there's the blue belt, which is the Universal Championship.
The UWU. I don't know. I don't know how they're doing that. I don't know if it's undisputed, if they win both of them. I don't. It's so confusing. They haven't talked about it. I think at this point they just want as much jewelry on the bloodline as they possibly can, so the extra belts help.
That's cool.
It's like the same as like when Kenny Omega did it with the belt collectors, or now with FTR. I think it was cooler with Kenny Omega, but I mean, I do love the bloodline. I do love it. I'm surprised that they've been able to string it out this long and with Sami Zayn and all those other kind of things. I think it was good. I think Logan Paul match with Roman Reigns was excellent. I loved it. Like I said, at first I was like, he's an outsider, like this and that or whatever. But I got to be honest, man. You can tell that Logan
he's
Paul,
a performer, man.
Whatever he does, he puts his fucking effort into it, and he's hard to not. It's like that. He's like Tom Brady. I hate to make comparisons to that, but like nobody likes Tom Brady, but pretty much everybody respects Tom Brady because he's really fucking good. And Logan Paul's kind of really fucking good at whatever he does. Like it's like you don't want him to be, but man, he kind of is, And I mean, the thing that
I will say this: when you can pay the best people to train you, you're going to get the best result.
That's true. So, yeah. I mean, that's a good shout. I mean, he's literally being trained by Shawn Michaels. And I know he's not in the performance center with a group of people. It's those motherfuckers are probably in some quiet ring by themselves, working all the time, getting the best. I mean, for sure.
With the best
they're
people.
Doing everything that they can to make him look good. Absolute, without question. In the same way as the boxing matches, they're trying to set it up to do the best that they can to make them look good. They're picking these things and these people, on purpose. Maybe they have the knockout clause. I don't know. That's a whole nother thing. But I do think that that the match was great. And did you see the viral video of him doing the viral splash to Roman Reigns? That was pretty cool. That alone, in slow motion. Yeah, it was. That alone was. He did that in front of like whatever 60, 70, 80, 90, 100,000 people live, knowing he's going to take this huge bump, which is enough. And he did it and recorded himself and actually had this foresight to do slow-mo and do him and then pan to Roman Reigns and then pan back and then hit all within one. Like, this motherfucker needs to be a freaking grip somewhere. Like he needs to be a camera director, like a camera operator somewhere, like, which I don't know if that's from like his younger years of doing vlogs or something like that. He's just used to that.
Probably.
But, like, that was the most impressive thing out of all of Crown Jewel for me.
That was fun.
So
Yeah, I saw that video. That was good.
That was
like, yeah, dude. All right, milk it.
When he did it, Theory
should take note.
Right? He did Theory better than Theory, for sure.
Yep.
Because, I mean, like, because they try to make, like, the gimmick with him is it, but, like, Jake Paul, that felt organic. He's like, I'm so sure I'm going to win. Like, and I'm Mr. Social Media again. It just worked. It fit for him. I got to say, man, that was, when I saw it happen, I was like, I got to see this video. I know he's going to post it. And as soon as I saw, I think Bleacher Report posted the video on it that I saw first, I was like, holy shit, that looks like it was professionally, like,
it was good.
How do you do that? I can't believe
it.
Was good. So, something we didn't touch on that I want to talk about, going back to AEW real quick, is these rumors and talk about CM Punk is pretty much confirmed that he's not going to be back. I'm trying to find the actual report that I saw. I don't know if it was it was one of these Wrestling Insider or Bleacher Report.
So is that good? Is that going to mean CM Punk is done?
I don't know. I mean, at this point, look, a year and a half ago, if you would have told me that CM Punk was going to come back to wrestling, I'd be like, it's not going to happen. It'll never happen. It's ridiculous.
But he did.
And then he did it. So now we're saying, like, well, he's not going to go back to WWE. That would be ridiculous. He would never do that. I don't know. It's like, it's kind of the same way in the political world right now. I say, like, I won't get political, and I'm not political, but like I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but nothing surprises me anymore. Does that make sense? Like if Biden did a presidential speech tomorrow and he ripped his face off, and like underneath it he was a lizard and he started eating people, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like nothing surprises me anymore. So he could go back to WWE. I mean, I don't think he likes Triple H, but I think he hates Triple H less than he hates Vince McMahon. And I think now he has a taste in his, he has that taste of wrestling back. And I mean, I don't know. I actually don't know,
it's
because
essentially,
at this point he's so toxic.
Right. But it's essentially the same thing as the Tom Brady and the Logan Paul thing. Like, you hate him, but you do respect him.
I don't respect CM Punk as much, because here's the thing. I wasn't watching wrestling when he was in his heyday. So I didn't have that luster to him. I didn't have that he didn't have all the glitter. So I only saw him really wrestle through like some random videos. And the first time I really saw or had anything was his podcast with Colt Cabana after the pipe bomb, that my brother told me, like, you got to listen to this. Like, I know you're not watching wrestling, but you have to. But I didn't watch for 15 years. So I didn't see any of his heydays. And I've only saw him since he's come back in AEW. And with the exception of some really, really good highlights with MJF and a couple of things that he's done, some of the matches, the strap match was just, their dog collar match was just like, probably top 10 matches of all time for me. Like, it was beautiful, that build. I think that was more from MJF than it was CM Punk. And I haven't really been, I've been kind of underwhelmed with a lot of his stuff. Like I said, save the MJF Eddie Kingston stuff. That was gold.
Well, that stuff felt so
but I almost want to feel like I feel like that was more because of him. Felt real.
Could be.
Yeah, it felt real.
But what I was saying about the Tom Brady thing was
suspend your belief, right? Or suspend your disbelief.
What I was saying about the Tom Brady analogy and the respect was like, do you think Triple H is like, look, dude, I don't like you, but I know you can make us money. So
absolutely, they would do that. The only thing that I'm thinking about is that he's more worried about the backstage, the drama, and the toxicity that's around him, and that there would be far too many cons than the pros of the moment that would come back, right? Somebody like Cody Rhodes coming back is a no-brainer because he's a great talent. Everybody likes him. Yeah, he doesn't have that much drama around him, backstage. He's been there before. That's a no-brainer. But the CM Punk, after everything that's happened in AEW, I almost feel like he's got to be blacklisted by now. So that would be the reason that he would come back. I mean, maybe Triple H is like, you know what? Fuck it. we're gonna, do whatever. But I feel like there would be so many stipulations to try and control his attitude and his actions towards the other people. I feel like it would make the deal very, very difficult. But again, Joe Biden might rip his face off and start eating people and tell everybody he's a lizard. Did you ever watch the movie V? Remember that? That's where I got that from. No. V from the 80s. And then they redid it in like 2010 or something like that. But it's where the aliens come down. They act like they're humans and they're going to save the planet, this and that. And then they end up, they're really just lizard aliens that eat people. Anyways.
Well, I'm going to check it out now.
Yeah, it sounds like a movie that you'd be into. That's why I asked, because it actually has shades of, I won't give away your screenplay. Sorry.
Okay. Well, on that note, Justin, dude, it was fun talking with you, man.
Yeah, man, it was good. It was, wait, what? Ah, you got me. You got me.
Dude,
oh, shit. I went almost all fucking, damn it.
Yep.
Whatever.
But dude, you look very handsome without the beard. But
fuck you, Robert. No, yeah, it was I was, as you know, I was Beetlejuice for Halloween to give out the candy, and I was just I'm a little bit extra, and I was not going to have a beard and not look like Beetlejuice, so I shaved. I haven't shaved my beard, Ryan, honestly, in over 2 years, and the first 3 days after I shaved it, my facial recognition on my phone didn't work.
It's like, you're not Justin.
Not kidding.
We know what you look like.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to take a picture. It was crazy. Nobody recognized me. I had there's a girl that I do security from time to time at a venue up here, and I went to work and I found out one of my buddies up there. They're like, "Yo, Summer," which Summer's one of the waitresses up there. You met her. She was actually at the party. I think you met her. And she may have came after you. Anyways, she was like, "Hey, who's the new guy?" Like, to Garrett. And I've known her for a long time. Like, we go to the same gym. I know her. Like, she was at my party and she was like, "Who's the new guy?" And Garrett's like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "The new guy." He's like, "That's Justin." She goes, "What?" Like, she couldn't put it together. Like, it was that drastic. Cause
when you came on video, I was like, something's different. Who's this guy?
Man, it's grown back now. Like, it's, I got this, I call it a 7 o'clock shadow because it's more than the 5 o'clock shadow. But yeah, it was definitely one of those, I haven't done it in a long time. And, Shane was like, I was like, "Do you like it? Do you not like it?" She's like, "So it's not that I don't like it. I feel bad." I'm like, "What do you mean you feel bad?" Like, "I feel like I'm cheating on you." I'm like, wow. Okay.
I'm still the same person.
Yeah.
Under the beard.
It's still me. Like, "Hey, well, why don't you just put a wig on and then it's fine."
Yeah. Well, until next time, my friend. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hopefully we can get all three of us combined next time.
It'll happen.
And we'll get it going. We didn't mention, we should have mentioned that in the beginning, but we were doing the whole shtick, I guess. Rob is on vacation with Cubby.
With his daughter.
I'm having a blast. I saw they're out at the Great Smoky Mountains out there. So I know they're having fun. I'm jealous. I would love to it looks so beautiful out there in the fall. So we might have to take a little trip out there. But yeah, brother, thank you for having me on. And I guess we'll see you guys on the next one. What do we have coming up real quick before we leave? What's on the roster for pay-per-views? What is it? Is it Survivor Series next?
Full Gear is coming.
Full Gear is coming, yes, and Survivor Series.
And Survivor Series is right after Thanksgiving. So
okay. Yeah. And then we've got is it after Thanksgiving? I thought it was on Thanksgiving.
Or is it the weekend Saturday after?
Okay, like after Black Friday, and then they have that. I wonder if that is because they're going to have. Are they doing a takeover?
No, they're doing. They are doing War Games.
Oh, that's right. That's going to be good.
Survivor Series. Yeah,
that's going to be good. That's going to be good. I'm excited for that. And All Out is definitely Full Gear. Full Gear is definitely piping up to be a good one.
And that's where they're pushing MJF versus Moxley, which I think they should not give MJF the title. Make him work for it. He doesn't need the title, right? I mean, I think he gets screwed out of it, and he's a what would you call it? An apprehensive babyface? Yes. Or a babyface despite himself. Anti-hero, because that's kind of where he's going. I mean, they're doing that. The firm's beating him up. They're kind of making him that Stone Cold type anti-hero, right? So does he love him because he doesn't care?
it's good. I feel like AEW is finally out of this rut with all the drama. So hopefully we get the Elite back pretty soon, Kenny and the Bucks and and we can put all this shit behind us.
Drama just feels just toxic, and if things are toxic, it ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
So it's just poison.
Yep. If it's real, right? On-screen toxicity is great. Off-screen toxicity, not so much. So
yeah.
All right, brother. We will talk to you later. Thank you very much.
Cool. All right, everybody. See you next time.
See you.
Peace.